Let's be honest for a moment. If you zoom out right now and take a look at what you're building from afar, what you're currently working on, it might look like you're making no progress. There's no drastic changes, there isn't any milestones, and there's no proof that things are working out for you. That thought alone is something a lot of people are quietly carrying with them, including me. It's frustrating because, see, we're living in a world where if your progress is not obvious, it doesn't exist. So that's why I want to talk about that problem today. I don't want to redefine progress for you, but I want to give you a context of what it should be from your own standpoint, your own point of view. I don't think we struggle with effort or making effort, but we struggle with getting validation, external validation. We're constantly trying to answer the question of, am I improving or am I just wasting my time? And usually it depends on what we can see. In most cases, it's something that other people can recognize. If we can't point to something obvious, we start doubting ourselves. We start to feel uneasy, even though we're doing the hard work. When we imagine progress, most of the time it looks very clean and organized. You feel certain of what you're doing. You feel motivated. You're in control. It is this thing where you're like, clearly I know what I have to do. I got this, right? But if you don't see those things, you start to assume that nothing is happening. We all love improvements. We all love seeing them, right? We love the idea that we're rapidly climbing up the stairs. The truth is, sometimes your improvement sits right in front of you, but somehow you just cannot see it. And here's the interesting part. If your progress always looked the way you imagined it would be, then your growth would be exciting all the time. And it doesn't. In fact, for most people, growth feels very uncertain, very questionable, and most of the time is strangely quiet. When I look back at moments where something clicked for me, they were barely impressive. There was no clear indication. It might have looked something like reacting less to things that used to control my mood all the time, leaving situations because they didn't feel right anymore, or simply just shutting the hell up sometimes and not explaining myself as much. And oh boy, was that uncomfortable. Because we've always been taught that being understood means that you're doing something right, but it's not. Progress is realizing that you don't need any approval to keep moving. You will probably never suddenly become confident and just bulldoze your way to the top. Because growth is supposed to be filled with roadblocks and obstacles. That's totally fine. Sometimes progress doesn't add anything to your life, but it removes friction. It removes some of the weight you're carrying on your shoulders. And it is important that you acknowledge that as well. Because when you remove the weight, when you remove friction, you are restructuring your life. And that always feels slower than building something new from the ground up. So let me end this by saying progress doesn't always feel like moving forward. Sometimes it feels like less burden, less weight. And it's really easy to miss that kind of progress because we're living in a world that rewards speed and certainty. But if right now your life or anything inside it, any projects, any mental health issues, or any recovery, if any of that feels slower and not as obvious as you expected it to be, that doesn't automatically mean nothing is happening. It just means that you're rebuilding quietly, you're restructuring, and that's not a setback. That's the kind of progress that is maybe more meaningful and will probably last longer than the easy path.